the gym.
Good idea.
Just streaming for Abby.
We're going over a spec. Here come.
Your fat ass, I wouldn't feed you anyway. I don't like the way you wicks it on your head.
I'm fucking dead.
But I'm not arguing, fool. I just rode 2 miles on a bike and licked my celebratory blunt. That would be counterproductive to fuss.
Oh, that profile picture is gonna get the child hustling.
Virtually.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's cool. It was just unprovoked. Went back and forth with me. I didn't go back and forth with you. You made a whole room about me. You gonna be mad about a PTR? Nah, you're not just gonna sit up here and try to fake bully somebody. I ain't do shit to you.
Shut up, Miles.
But no one noticed who did so many kings and celebrities.
It ain't nothing to tear. The bitch is just mad at the world.
I assumed it was red. I don't know who started some trouble.
Look at you, Miles. Look at Miles.
Now she be let me tell you.
Yo, alright. What you be doing, Miles?
I thought Clubhouse was a safe space.
I'm ready to change my picture back. I don't even like the way this shit look.
Hey, Donna.
Hi, Miles.
How was your day?
It was pretty good, buddy. How was yours?
I got big bandage on hands.
Buddy.
Bands on hands. What were you doing?
I have no idea. And then they appeal. They acted like you committed a homicide. They're like, you can put in an appeal. So I was like, how am I supposed to appeal something I don't even know? Then I checked back and it's like, your appeal was denied.
Miles, what was the last thing you did before you got in?
I don't know. I'll be doing some wild stuff. I can't even lie. I thought about it and I'm like, well,
You know,
I just think
What is your definition of wild, Miles?
I don't take myself that seriously, so a
No.
lot of these women,
Do you know how many reports you have to get put in for you to get banned off of the YouTube website?
Oh, God.
not
Miles.
necessarily. Not
No,
Miles.
Miles. Look at whole trolls. Look it up on Reddit with other people that are just like you. You know how many reports you gotta get in order to get banned off of the dating website, brother?
You
And
gotta
only
care.
trolls use Reddit. What are you talking about?
And you know what? The bad thing is that they say if you get banned on Hinge, then there's some type of thing where you can't use Tinder.
Look at you. You're scared.
I didn't do nothing.
Miles, you are actually the most ridiculous person.
She was, but she said, oh my God.
What?
She said, I won't go wrong. She was like, she said, I won't go wrong. I said, like,
I will
this
know.
one, I really don't give a fuck about this app, bro.
Say little Diamond in the room.
Like, niggas need to go touch grass. Get outside. Like, yo.
What accident is going on?
Coexistence now!
Say I boomed the room.
Who boomed the room?
Bitch. This and better gas installed.
What's an important person thing, huh?
Changing the world one room at a time, Dr. Amos. How you get recorded, bro? What happened? This man too straightforward.
Provocative.
Exactly, straightforward.
What did you say?
I don't know. I haven't looked. It didn't even tell me. So when I probably, anyways.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, how can it say your name without a reason?
Let me tell you something.
Our
Miles, we up there bugging the fuck out. You understand me? He can't even tell you what he did because he knew he was bugging the fuck out.
Trust me, I seen it. Like, he says that girl at Starbucks. I was like,
Oh yeah, Miles, you're going to jail.
this nigga's crazy, bro.
So what are you gonna do?
It's alright, bro. Just make a new account. Change your name.
No, his IP is there.
No, you can't. You can't, bro. They're using some AI shit. Like,
I got blocked. I got blocked. I mean, I got banned on BLK before.
why'd you get that?
I want to say it's because I told a white person on there that we can't have shit and that white people shouldn't be on an app called BLK because it's not called WHT. I want to say that's it because other than that, I wasn't really into anything. But I do recall that, so I don't know. That could have been it. Could have been hate
No, but
speech.
I think I
I'm not over here antagonizing or being weird to me. But it was just one incident. Miles, I can only imagine what you did, honey.
Why you saying like you know?
It's not that. I'm just feeling your vibes.
No.
What did you imagine I've done? You literally exposed me for 2 minutes. So what did I do? Let's hear it.
No, let's hear what you did to get banned.
You don't hear anything.
You banned till 2026, fool?
Damn. You might as well just date in real life.
So they banned your IP address, bro?
I do.
No,
I think they banned the IP, but you know, bro, it's all good. It's not serious.
No, we're gonna get you back on the app, bro. I know you need it. We're gonna get you back on the app.
That was a low blow, dude.
that was.
Nah, the app stuff, though. I closed some joints off there. The app stuff. If I got banned, I don't know what I would do.
Shut the hell up, weirdo.
Stand behind me. And Mama can walk when. Nothing to leave to find and cooking him dollar, cooking him water, cooking him yam. They are Zola leader. Zola and cook reasons. You know, after 2 years, they are now working. After 2 years, after 2 years, because he got out of the Dory, the king. Got her, train. But possible. In a Bruce, the Hassan and Yamadin. One back the use Bruce there, Oklahoma Vitar of defeat. One the Baranda.
It's in the cards.
You see? On these, when it comes to that, I am agnostic. I feel like
The sharpest tool on the shit.
That's right, nigga. I'm the sharpest tool, nigga. I'm the best tool, nigga. I'm the number 1 tool. Yeah, where my nigga at? Let me get a man. Yeah, my nigga, yeah, that's my nigga. Hey, he comes to the shad, Gus. Nigga, where man you at? Where man you at? Let me cut these guys up real quick.
Chilling, bro. Don't make me feel like anybody, bro. I don't
Really,
really
nigga, that was correct. Just cut you up.
There are powers that want to essentially create what I term, and many people are terming now, called the woke right. You know, we just defeated the woke left. We just defeated the woke left. But there are a lot of people who want to take old ideas that are centered around race, that are centered around statistics that have to do with white and black work, painting white and black narratives that don't get to nuances and don't actually address the root cause of things in society that you
situation is called.
Okay, what I'm gonna do right here. Damn, Capone, I'm sorry, gang.
That whole per capita thing is just a, let's say, distraction from the greater issue, right? Because the issue I think Seventh was trying to show is that if you looked at all crimes, white and black, or blue and white collar crimes, the whites are doing numbers. They're doing numbers such that it's like innumerable, uncountable amount of transgressions and criminal activity that the whites are engaging in. And what they've done is they've played the old switcheroo distraction game. They say, oh, don't look at those, security fraud. Don't look at those violations of all your civil liberties and rights per the government onto this citizenry. No. Look at Tyrone and that person, that shit. That's what you need to look at. And guess what? Whites are doing numbers in that area too. But when we compare the whites to the blacks, there's more blacks per capita than the whites per capita. See, they're the real problem, even though the whites are doing the numbers, right? So the issue is, are we trying to solve the problem, or are we trying to do a comparative analysis? Now, obviously, if you wanted to solve the problem, you have to deal with the whites, right? If you wanted to do a comparative analysis, the blacks are winning in that regard. But guess what? In the comparative analysis and the blacks having a greater percentage of criminalistic behavior, the whites are still doing numbers and putting everybody in a subjugation type situation that you don't want to be in, stealing out of your pockets, ruining your children's future, on and on and on and on, right? The real pernicious, cancerous stuff, right? The whites are doing those things. Tyrone's just like bothering you for the day. That's what he's doing, for the most part, right? There's some other stuff that'll ruin you for the rest of your life, but the whites are winning in that regard. Thank you, Governor Nice.
Well, there's no question that the economic scale between the race and the whites are absolutely extinct in a gargantuanly larger category.
Yeah, why is that?
Why is that? But to be fair, I don't think that this is actually like something that could be a big focus.
Shut up.
I don't think.
It was not a big focus?
I don't think like black criminality or something is something that should get a lot of like attention. It's like, oh wow, this really needs to be addressed.
That's what the whole conversation was. That's the whole game. You created an entire segment to analyze black criminality compared to white criminality. That was what you wanted. What are you talking about? What do you mean? That's what we just did. What's up? That's what it comes to now. I got these this is crazy. Own it. I gotta own it.
Question about the point of was to just like show, well, like I think people kind of dissent from this idea that black people are more likely to commit crime than whites, and this is just like kind of like a clean way to lay it out, at least a better way than like what was tried when I was like before I proposed this.
Yeah, I agree. You bored the room, like with your voice.
I just.
I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, so there's two houses. Both houses have 10 people. And one house has 4 people that commit the crime. One house has 5 people that commit the crime. You can say the one that has 5 people that commit the crime is more dangerous. I'm going to use that word. I'm going to use that tricky word. More dangerous. There's no question about it. I don't know why we're arguing this. But then we're going to say, you know what? The house that has 5 crimes committed, yeah, it's higher. But then guess what? The one that has the high number of crimes committed doesn't actually have 10 people. It has 20 people. Versus the house that has 10 people that has 4 people committed crime. This is why per capita is important. I mean, you guys hate the word per capita. I get it. It's very triggering. It makes you feel like, no, this word was meant for just us. But no, per capita has a purpose. So if I had a house of 20, a house of 10, and the house of 20 had 5 crimes, the house of 10 had 4 crimes. Yes, it's true. The house of 20 has more crimes. But 6 out of 20 committed crimes versus 5 out of 10. per capita does matter, and people in the insurance industry use these per capita numbers that you guys need so much. There's a purpose for it.
I think you got a good point. But I do think that where people go wrong is they take a blanket analysis, and so now it's like, okay, I think where you have to start looking is where do you deem there to be a threat to your own personal safety or well-being. And for example, if you are a white person and you look at black folks and you're like, okay, I need to know exactly what is the likelihood it is for me to be a victim of a violent crime. Well, you gotta look at who are the victims of black people committing violent crime. And as it is with most races, most recipients or most victims of violent crime are usually made a victim by someone in their own race. You know? And so now you have to almost look at, well, okay, then out of all the violent crime that black people commit, what is the racial breakdown? And you'll find that a lot of it is really just based off of long-standing, not just proximity by itself, but proximity in association with shit like perhaps family disputes, gang disputes, things that happen, crimes of passion, that are relative to their environment. So when you see, if you're in bumblefuck nowhere and you see like a random black person and you start saying, oh my god, look at this as a per capita just walked into our store, and you just start fucking like having a meltdown. I mean, that is kind of like, that might be, maybe that woke right element that someone had brought, I think that might have came earlier. We just started becoming a motherfucking, like, focal, I don't know, you just started becoming a fucking panicky freak, who you don't, all of a sudden you don't want to go outside and shit, so, that's all.
Are we having a queue or is this over?
I think it's over.
Are we trying to figure out what you just...
Okay, well then we probably want to go, I'll just say that, King, you've talked to Enoch before?
Yeah, so Enoch and myself,
I was going to do that.
along with Dewey. Oh my god. Harvey, you have something else you want to speak on?
Harper just wants to...
No, I just knew that he was going to pass the buck and he was going to do like the game show.
Nobody even talking to me.
I think he was going to do the game show, like, Price is Right sort of thing, and just bring it on down.
Okay, you're literally just talking and concrete's clapping.
Shut the fuck up, you racist shit.
Alright, be quiet. Call me. Oh, you use the N-word like what time?
We had to do a small room one day with just Angela and freaking Janine Harper. We got to do this for something. Because I've heard you guys bicker back and forth for like over a year now.
Oh yeah, he's all he. But anyway, but King,
I'm not understanding this.
All right, Harper,
I'm not understanding.
But King, you talked to Enoch. Did you guys talk about theism?
Harper, can you just celebrate whiteness, please?
Yeah. All right.
Okay, please do. Yeah, so I don't remember us talking on any issue with God, but the way that he operates under the conversation that had to do with China, America, business, population, I wasn't very impressed. Now, Dewey can back me up because Dewey participated in the conversation too. I'm not saying Enoch is not. I'm clear that the guy is smart, but I think he sort of like uses his showmanship, which is a good quality to have. He uses that as the way to sort of, cover up the fact that he didn't know a lot of things. Like, for instance, the population collapse that's coming to China. There was a lot of things that he wasn't familiar with, but his showmanship got him places, so I'll give him that.
Wait until he employs his showmanship in theism.
Again, the guy's clearly smart, but again, I think, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to have a conversation, then you're going to, do the whole confidence thing, then at least know what you're talking about. So,
well, he said,
let
he said
me be honest, so.
He said atheism is manifestly true.
Yeah, I'd love to see him substantiate.
You say he got exposed?
Manifestly, do you consider So if you say, for example, that the concept of God, like just merely trying to conceptualize God as a manifest falsity, I think that might be a better way to frame.
What do you mean by manifest falsity? What is that?
Well, essentially, it's inherently false and self-evidently false because it's inconclusive.
Yeah, that's just not true.
From out the gate, like when you try to define God and try to take on the approach of saying, "Hey, this is God and this is the God that I believe."
What's the
Let him finish. That's all I'm in. We're gonna hear him out.
Please, I mean, what did you say, Enoch? Manifest falsity?
Yeah.
Right. So manifest falsity and the way you define it would that would relate to something like there are no elephants in serving in the White House or serving in Congress. Right? That's manifest. Like the words you use could apply to something like that. But how
it always have to be physical or like that?
Because I can prove inherently that most people believe, or it is actually true, that there are no elephants serving in Congress.
Has anyone ever proven that? That's as far as like evidence.
You said there are
no elephants in the White House.
Has anyone ever proven that?
You meant that physically, right? Like there are no elephants physically in the White House.
How else would I mean that?
So has anyone ever proven that?
Yes, sir. Yes, there are no elephants currently serving.
You can serving like the title of it, right? Okay. So
you can prove a negative. So I'm trying to see how you use that word combination to prove God doesn't exist.
Well, it's not a one-to-one comparison, though. Your example is not going to be.
It is, sir. I proved the negative. You can prove a negative, so I'm trying to see how you're proving God doesn't exist beyond using, the combination of those two words.
Well, but you're not. You can't just hold those two words exclusively to the way that you.
No, you gave the definition. Now, how does that correlate?
But manifest falsity doesn't need to be something like, hey, okay, there are this many, jobs that are, in the executive branch, and no elephants serving them. You can. It's like, okay, that's not the only way to say that something's manifest falsity.
So Enoch, how again? How have you proven it? Just
because already checked over.
That's what I told you.
Over.
How have you proven, Enoch, that God does? You see how I just proved elephants don't serve in Congress? That negative, I just proved that. So in the same way, show me God doesn't exist.
So let me tell you this, right? First of all, because I reject the premise that you're starting with as it is. And here's why. Because the premise that you're trying to start with and trying to get me to walk down is not the full breadth of what we're doing on. The fact is, when it comes to the concept of God has manifest
falsity.
Yes.
You said that. I didn't say that. I'm telling you the substantial.
And you gave an example.
Let him finish. Let him finish, Dave.
Multiple people. There's like desperation.
No.
That sounds like desperation. Just let me. Yeah. So when you say that there's a manifest falsity, there's an honest assessment that comes from saying, hey, okay, this is literally something that is either unfalsifiable. This is something that you literally cannot. How do I put this? Not just unfalsifiable, right? But it's unfalsifiable, and it's also, for lack of a better word, it's also something that you can infinitely shift the goalposts of. So, for example, when it comes to God, you assign yourself authority, and this is my premise in general. You assign yourself a lot of authority when you start to define God and say you believe in it. When you say I believe in God, and what God is a singular entity who is the creator of the universe and is the intentional governor of all things within the universe. Just by saying that, you make multiple assumptions that go without completely any substance. You are already saying, okay, this entity is a singular entity. This entity is willfully governing the universe. This entity does not have any help. You're not a polytheist. You're making a lot of assumptions based off of the definition itself. The definition is already relying on the inherent belief. It's almost like you're asserting God by defining it. And that in and of itself is a major flaw. Like it's a structural flaw in the rationale to say God is
asserting God by defining him is a flaw.
Your assertion of So by
No, he's saying you're asserting superiority.
Asserting God by defining Him.
No, stop. You said that you're asserting superiority. You say that I believe.
Get out of it. Let them talk the one-on-one. No one needs. Let him explain what he's trying to say. Not you.
Yeah, explain that to me. Asserting God by defining Him is a flaw.
It's a flaw because the terms that you're using in order to lay out your definition of God is an assertion. If you just make an assertion and there's no substantiating those terms that you're using to make that assertion, then you have a structural design. Now you have multiple points to prove before you even get past the conversation of saying, hey, this entity is real. You have to prove that the God of the Bible is not more or less real than the polytheistic Egyptian lore.
So that's it.
Let them do it.
No, that's literally it. When you say God is, He is a entity that created the known universe. Nobody says God is a singular entity.
Yeah, nobody says that. So whenever we have this conversation, this is why I need to focus you, because you're all over the place. So if someone gives you a definition that corresponds with reality, what about that type of definition? Not a straw man like you just tried to do, but an actual textbook definition that theists have used for thousands of years to make these arguments. What about that definition?
Give an example.
No. Don't try to shift the burden, because what I was trying to say, you made the statement that manifests falsity, that God doesn't exist by that. So I'm still waiting for that.
So again, right, when you try to define God, every single iteration of God that that's well known, even the polytheistic deities, you have to, in order to believe in them, you have to first make assertions within your definition based off of stuff that have no credible evidence. You have to, when you say, okay, I believe in the Egyptian pantheon, all right, well, that means that you believe that Ra and just a bunch of these other deities are basically more real and are as involved in the creation of the universe collectively, and you're making that assumption, you're making that assertion, and that comes in a direct conflict with the belief in a singular God, one-track intentional creator to the universe. Now you go into the other continual qualities. Okay, well now they're also continually involved in the process of the universe. Some theists are deists. Some deists, they'll say, well, God creates the universe, but it might not regard the universe, and it's not an active governor over the universe. Just in the definition, you have to break down the actual definition. If you give one sentence and say, hey, this is God, the words that you use within that sentence, which is what I keep trying to get people to understand, the words that you use within that sentence are assertions. They are assertions that do not come with self-evident truth. They actually come in the absence of truth. They come in the absence of evidence, of credible evidence. The closest thing that we have is, as a reference, is going to be basically the religious text or the carried down lore that introduced the person trying to define God to that concept of God in the first place. The problem with that is that I can do that for Harry Potter. The problem for that is I can do that for any other deity that I wanted to in a book that inspired me.
Yeah, so I want to be very clear. So what I'm hearing from you is you're using references like the Egyptian pantheon, Harry Potter, and all of these other fictional texts to essentially say that there is no possible way that God exists.
So what I'm saying is that the definition,
those are the things you brought up. You use the word manifest falsity.
It's a reductive.
And you're using Egyptian pantheon, you use Harry Potter, and some other things in the word salad to essentially present as evidence that there is no possible way God exists.
How did I use those words? Did I just randomly name drop them?
Those were your references.
How did I use them? What was the purpose of
use manifest falsity?
Can you see how I brought them up?
Use those two words as a way of saying that you can prove God doesn't exist. And so when I asked you to substantiate that, you brought up the Egyptian pantheon, you brought up Harry Potter, a number of other fictional texts as your reference for that proof.
You got blindsided.
Very clear about that.
You got blindsided by the names that were referenced, and then completely lost the logical track of what I'm bringing up. I'm mentioning the Egyptian pantheon because they're a very famous example of polytheism. But when you say God is, hey, this is God. He is the divine creator of the universe, and most of them usually say that it's a loving and well-wishing entity that governs over all actions within the universe. You got to start with each word that I just used. He is, boom, okay. That comes in a direct contrast with different pantheons that say, no, it's never been he. It's actually been multiple creators of the universe. It's actually been a demiurge. It's actually been this and that and the third. And that right there is like, okay, now how do you actually substantiate your claim of the singular God versus another claim from another belief system that once ruled the world that said, hey, there were like 5 or 6 gods, or there are like a Mount Olympus of gods? How do you say that your claim is more concrete than theirs towards that singularity of a divine being?
Yeah, that's simple, because our claims and our beliefs correspond much more with reality as it's been given. Yeah, there's a number of ways. One would be obviously the life, death, and resurrection of Christ. But outside of that, you can also use some of the classical arguments around right? The teleological, the moral arguments, the transcendental.
So you're summarizing there, but you brought up the
I'm giving you ways. I'm giving you ways I could substantiate.
You're referencing.
I'm pretty sure you've heard these arguments before. But again, don't try to get away from it. Have you substantiated how you've proven God doesn't exist?
And that's been my point.
You made the claim of manifest falsity, that there's a manifest falsity in the nature of God's existence, meaning I can show you God doesn't exist.
But there's an absence of credible evidence when you bring up those examples. You didn't actually use any of them as credible evidence.
This is on your claim. This is not mine. You're trying to shift the burden. I'm trying to see how you're showing.
I'm not.
That God doesn't exist.
The burden of a concept of something is within the definition of that concept as it pertains to observable reality. You're the one who claimed that observable reality dictates that there would be a monotheistic deity that runs.
I never said any of that. I never said any of that, sir. I never said any of that.
So why did you what is it for life, death, and rebirth of Jesus Christ?
For the audience, this man has yet to substantiate that manifest falsity in the context of those two words, that God does not exist.
I did. Manifest falsity.
Okay, so you're saying you did. So watch this closely. What was your evidence that God manifest in a manifest falsified way doesn't exist? What was your evidence?
The necessity of the definition of the concept that you are trying to say exists, right? Okay, God doesn't exist. Let's go back to your reference. There are no elephants that serve in the White House at this time. And maybe I'll shift it a little bit, right? I'll say, no, I don't have to. You can hear this. If you don't like this, there are no elephants literally physically in the White House at this time. There's no elephants. Now, that's probably true, right? But can you prove it?
No. So
someone can go through the entire White House.
My example. I know I gave my example, so you couldn't do what you just did.
So here's the problem, right?
So stop playing games, sir. There's a reason why I said there are no elephants serving in the U.S. Congress.
I know why you said
or
that.
serving in the White House.
Because it was deceptive.
We can prove that. We can absolutely prove that.
Because who serves in the White House?
Prove that. So what I need you to do is absolutely prove that God doesn't exist.
You've played fully into my hand by using that reference, and you tried to be deceptive, and it ended up working against you. When you say elephants, there are no elephants that are serving in a position at the White House. You are taking tangible, repeatable qualities, such as the list of jobs that are in the White House, the list of roles that are laid out and defined at the beginning of a presidency, and the human beings that are going to fulfill that role. When it comes to the concept of God, you have the privilege, if you're going to maintain the concept of God, you have the privilege, and most God believers abuse the privilege of the gaps that they are provided. They're able to say, well, okay, well, we can't see God, and he's not here, but he's within every atom within us, and you can't see those either. You're able to shift perpetually and provide no repeatable, measurable basis to the claim of its physical existence. So your example, and you trying to bring elephant serving in the White House, I mean, do you know, so, I mean, maybe it's because you're like half listening, but again, you brought up an example of jobs that are in the White House, like the executive branch, positions that are in the
very clear. There are no elephants. You see how I made a positive claim for a negative thing. There are no elephants serving in the United States Congress. That is a provable claim. It's provable.
That is as provable as me saying there is no God.
You have evidence that God does not exist.
You have literally given me that's like me saying there is no God.
Whatever you use, manifest, falsify, like it's some fucking fancy term, right? Some fucking fancy hotep shit.
So what is it?
So show me, substantiate that shit.
What is an elephant?
You have to substantiate it.
What is an elephant?
You brought up the Egyptian pantheon, you brought up Harry Potter, you brought up a couple of other fictional things. But you have to see how that substantiates that God doesn't. That's evidence that God doesn't exist. That's retarded.
What is an elephant?
I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be. But Andrew,
what is an elephant? What is an elephant?
It's an animal, sir.
I got it down 25 points right now.
You said how do I know that an elephant is an animal?
How do you know an elephant exists?
How do I know? What do you mean, how do I know an elephant exists? What type of evidence would you need that an elephant exists? Do you need me to have a picture of an elephant?
With respect to yours, but also the listeners' intelligence, right? We can say that elephants are bad, this is really bad.
Andrew, what it sounds like he's simply making a case that you can't discover truth because all you have is comparison between models. He's not really making a case for like the non-existence.
No, that's not true. I'm going by the example he gave. So he gave that example. There are no elephants sitting in a position in the White House. So I'm asking, what is an elephant? Now we all have seen elephants. We've seen them. We know somebody who's probably been in the same vicinity as one. Elephants are real. They're real, tangible things. You can count the number of elephants in a given place at a given time. That is already dramatically different from you saying from the statement that there is a God. I can say there is no God in the universe. I got you. I can say that there is no God in the. I can say that there is no God in the universe.
No, you can't.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you can't.
Why not?
Because if you've never seen it, it's a straight up argument for me.
If you've never seen an elephant before in your life, and nobody else that you've ever met has ever seen an elephant in your life,
do you realize the common denominator in every room are the atheists? The atheists actually are disagreeing with you. Like you're like the denominator.
There's people who agree with me too. The usual suspects will.
Enoch, look at the chat. There's no one that agrees with you.
Enoch, how long you been an atheist, Enoch?
I'm not looking at the chat.
Let's make it a teacher moment. Can we make it a teacher moment?
That's right. We got to do it. You're trying to you're shifting the conversation.
Enoch, right?
You're trying to talk about something else.
Just listen.
Yeah, can we make it a teacher moment?
Great numbers, please, sir. You're essentially making an argument from ignorance. Activists correctly pointed that out because, and respectfully, this is the logical conclusion when dealing with this, like going down the road, you essentially start to deny anything happening. That's not what I'm doing. You're trying to establish that there is no way to know for certain that an elephant is what it is.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
Yes, it is.
No. Let me try to be clear. I just told you that elephants exist. We all know that they exist. So y'all didn't hear me.
common ground that the state
Never gonna
brings.
learn it.
So
He's never gonna learn if he doesn't actually
Surely
see
we
how
all
bad
have
this
some
is.
common ground that state
Robert Francis
brings.
Prevost, born on September 14, 1955 in Chicago, Illinois, is a prominent American Catholic. Robert Francis Prevost, born on September 14, 1955 in Chicago, Illinois, is a prominent American Catholic.
Cardinal of the Holy Roman Catholic Church, and then after that,
What you said was the ridiculous stuff. So you still argue like it's coherent.
Let's get back to the actual logic. Entity. It would be immaterial. Okay. That is already a shit on the list.
Can you hold on a second?
And refuse to.
No, not like in principle, it is possible to prove a negative, right?
Yeah, if you're honest, but if you refuse to concede to the negative and the lack of evidence for the existence.
Claims like there is no blank are in principle provable.
As long as you're honest about it. So, because there's always a way, especially when you make an entity immaterial.
There's not always a way, but those types of claims are in principle unprovable.
For example, okay, there's no elephants that are serving a job in the White House or in the executive branch. What if it's a secret job, some job that you should know? What if it's on a secret menu? What if it's on a secret job? What if it's like an elephant that's honorary assigned to the Secret Service? Maybe it's interesting. It's alongside executive. That's what I'm thinking
Congress is currently debating spending cuts.
What is the sorrow unexpressed that shadows those ecstatic lids? A star in the garden, when sadness closes in between your eyes and light a day, my queen. Before our glance had come.
Somebody says, hey, that's a metaphysical transcending you can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's there, I promise. No, what do you say to that person that says that? He's saying, okay, if you have empty Coca-Cola bottles, then you can say that there are liquid cans in this box. So if someone responds to you and says, hey, there's an invisible, metaphysical, immaterial Coke can in this box, what do you say?
If you set up the question in such a way that the thing that you're trying to prove cannot be proven, then you can't prove it. I agree with it. That's like really an interesting interpretation. That's my created a Are you saying enough that this particular conception, these conceptions no previous freedom is like that's a thing that's not sound to begin with, because if you don't understand anything that supports that, if someone says there is a spiritual, ethereal ghost king in this house, there is no such king in this house. Do you think that will improve the king? I mean, it's classic. But it was an answer that he just said, and it's a straight up again. Someone says there's no spiritual culture in this place. Do you think that is an improvable thing? Someone says this following statement: there is no ethereal, invisible culture in this house. Do you think that statement is an improvable thing? Certain testimonies and certain premises from the lack of standing that come with
God, history keeps on the Republican system. Those Republicans. This is pretty dead to none. Dead to none, I guess.
Like in a religious sense?
Yes.
Hey, Nick!
I'm very, very upset about that.
Hey, Nick! It's me, Cindy Stumpo. I'm at a work construction site. I'm looking at over 50 workers. I don't know how many of them are Mexican or illegal. Doesn't matter to me. I'm building houses, Nick. The name is Cindy Stumpo. Here's my business card. Let me know if you want to invest. I got a great new startup for you. It's a technology app. It's information technology. It's going to be one of the biggest apps of the world. Cindy Stumpo knows. Just give me your money. And I'm going to go build another 100 houses with another 1,000 Mexicans. I'm Cindy Stumpo. Nobody fucks with me. I build houses all over the fucking place. I got thousands of fucking workers. I'm worth $400 fucking million. Do you know Grant Cardone? Do you even know who the fuck I fuck with? I'm Cindy Stumpo, motherfuckers. Do you know Grant Cardone and Nelson Lepega and Jonathan Bing? The Jonathan Bing. I'm fucking Cindy Stumpo, bitch. I run this town. Don't forget it. Here's my business card, Cindy Stumpo. This is Cindy Stumpo, you motherfucker. Don't you tell me who the fuck can work at my fucking construction site. So you say he doesn't have his fucking papers? Here's my fucking business card, Cindy Stumpo. You can call my attorney.
I wouldn't do that if it wasn't for you, Nick, but that shit is funny, isn't it? It's really funny. So I'm live streaming this on a whole bunch of different platforms. I'm about to record some poetry, some powerful magic hypnosis. And I've been playing music now on YouTube and on Clubhouse and creating music content, and it's going pretty good. You know why, Nick? Because I put on a Pepe mask with a Trump hat, and the videos are going viral. And I'm calling myself Mr. Iran Tehran, and I'm basically pulling like a Borat, and I'm pretending to be like an Iranian. You know, I don't know if you know this, Nick, but when I was in the 7th grade, I was the president of the United States of America in the play called Annie. I was Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the 7th grade. And isn't that kind of crazy? Because I beat out 8th graders for the role as the president. And it was because of my audition. It was because I practiced. I practiced the scenes, and I improv'd as well because, you know, things were nothing big, but I had to sing a song. I sang Tomorrow. FDR sings Tomorrow in Annie. That was my song. Tomorrow. I was so fucking nervous. I was like, how is this even possible that I can sing this song? But, you know, when you're a young prepubescent kid, anybody can sing a song because it's our English. I don't know why the fuck he had the doctor title, but he was teaching music in the 8th grade and he was a doctor. And he wore a toupee, and he looked like he was about to pop. And, you know, he really did know music, though. He was like a real conductor. It was kind of amazing. Some people really know music, you know, because it's technical.
But not me. I fucking build. I've been building houses for 55 fucking years. And this is Cindy Stumpo. Here's my fucking business card. I got an app for you I want you to look at. I want you to invest in this young kid's app. He's an up-and-comer. Let's be honest. He's a fucking up-and-comer, this Nelson Apega kid. I showed him how to lie on a mortgage application 10 fucking years ago. This kid has taken out $55 fucking million in mortgage loans because of me, Cindy Stumpo. You're gonna have to be honest when you file. You're gonna be honest when you gotta settle. Let's be honest, you know? It all comes down, because once you got the fucking money, then the lawyers and the banks, and I'm fucking Cindy Stumpo. I got 5,000 fucking workers at 35 construction sites. We're competing with the biggest home builders in America. Hortons. Home builders. Talk to Grant Cardone. He knows how much stress there is in building fucking homes. When you gotta deal with the subcontractors, the general contractors, the managing brokers, and the fucking real estate agents. I fucking hate them all. My name is Cindy Stumpo. I basically created the home builder model. I'm an early innovator. Not many people know this. Grant knows this story, but I only told Grant this because I tell the young kids good things so they can follow in my fucking footsteps. And that's why I tell all my friends to invest in Nelson Apega's incredible Cheddar app, because Jonathan Bingham, he fucking rebroadcast Cheddar into fucking Clubhouse. And nobody even uses fucking Clubhouse anymore. There's no fucking party hats. But you go to Cheddar, there's a lot of fucking party hats. So what does that tell you? That means people, you're going to want to invest in this Cheddar app. Let me refer you to my friend Jonathan Bingham. He's got all the details, and he'll give you the investor perspective. You'll have to sign a non-disclosure. Also, of course, we'll have to qualify you as a registered investor. So if you don't have a minimum of $250,000 liquid capital, we're not going to be able to work with you. I can show you my portfolio. You can show me yours, but mine is bigger than yours. Let's be honest. I'm Cindy fucking Stumpo. I got 3,500 fucking Mexicans working right now, and Trump is busting my fucking balls, but let's be honest, I'm happy he's kicking them out. In fact, I fucking doxed all of them with fucking ice. With fucking ice. I told them exactly where they were. ICE agents came and picked them up. I said, don't anybody say nothing, or you ain't gonna get your pay this Friday. That's what I told all my fucking workers. I'm fucking Cindy Stumpo, and here's my business card.
This is like my Tim Dillon impersonation of Cindy Stumpo. That would be a funny video, right? Yeah. This is why I like doing these performances and not filming them are, you know, it's the definition of insanity to like not record this stuff. It just takes too much energy to do these Cindy Stumpo impersonations. It's probably I think it's one of my funny impersonations, the Cindy Stumpo impersonation. Stumpo, what a fucking name, Stump. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Americans are amazing. Because it is like a question of willpower in so many ways. Because a lot of it is performative. Because there's people who really do the work, and then there's people who just like do the management, supervision. So if you can fake it till you make it. I mean, The thing is, I just can't even imagine Grant Cardone worrying about a tenant, you know, who caused some property destruction at one of his 800,000 apartment unit complexes. I mean, it's like, dude, at the end of the day, you're a fucking investor at some point. I mean, if you have a portfolio of 100,000 apartments, you know, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I met somebody once in college. I was the president of the investment club, and he just came in. It was Nick. It was literally like our college alumni, Cindy Stumpo, he came in. He's like, this is the equation, you fucking idiots. This is the fucking equation. And I used this fucking equation my whole life to acquire over 80,000 apartment complexes in the southeastern United States, you little fucks. You see this fucking equation? This is a fucking equation. I don't buy shit if this equation doesn't have this fucking number, motherfucker, or less. And I was like, So that's your whole presentation to us? Interesting. I still can't, I don't even know what that equation was, but obviously it was like a cost benefits analysis equation. I mean, you know, okay, now you get the ratio. It's like, there's so many other components. He was a cool guy though. I mean, all business. Yeah, I saw Tim Dillon here in Chicago at Rivers Casino. I took this really hot chick. I don't think she was impressed because after she gave me a kiss at the end of the night, I was like, my grandmother kisses better than you. But yeah, Tim Dillon was very funny, very, very funny. I recorded it. I think I put it on Clubhouse when I was listening to it, but neither here nor there. He is one fat piece of shit. I should go to the gym and not be a fat piece of shit. But you know what's cool about Clownhouse now is if you get kicked from a room, it automatically bounces you to a new room. So that means it's like I can walk away. I can walk away because of the preview function, and it'll just constantly play Clubhouse, which is exactly what I've always wanted. This is the world famous Prince, Palestinian terrorist piece of. Imagine. See, I just got kicked. Oh no, now I'm in the room. I didn't even touch the phone.
بطل تبغانا نسب البحرين نسب الكويت بس ما راح نسب
يا عم انت ليش
Guys, what is language on your mouth? If you use a syntax to communicate a word that you don't create, you are communicating in a language.
He's a Chihuahua and dog, and our dog's canines, and our canines.
They've been breeding like humans for a long time, like especially in the slave times. They were breeding the slaves and shit to make them more like stronger and bigger, you know. Same thing as genetics. It's like when you do a hybrid with the marijuana, when you do two strains and you hybrid together. We're messing with genetics.
They took him out, though. He good, though. Ooh.
Funny with the money, or you got me mistaken, honey. I don't want to rape you. I just want the paper, the visa, Capricia. I'm out like the papers. Who the hell honcho? Slick like Ramacho, cool like Camacho.
For like Senator, man, Chicago, shit like that. I'm scared to look at my foot.
He's like, you're running for, what did he say? Something with the mayor of Chicago.
Tweet about.
All right, Nick, we in the spot. We in the clip. We with Jonathan Bingham. Without Daphne, I would have got church. I thank God Daphne was there to save me. I love you, Daphne. Welcome to the Dowson of Paga and the Cindy Stumpo Grant Cardone. We We are live streaming chillism. AKA Chatter. Out to Clownhouse and Baker down.
Didn't get the memo, and he came out here on his podcast. He put out there that no, he likes it. So now, they come and meet you as soon as he walking back, and he'll tell you how much he
This room is called First American Pope is Chosen. Trump appoints Puro. Debate the news.
With that being said, now, listen, you guys.
Is this the definition of brain rot? Because that's like the point. Is to like record a brain rot. I think this app is just full of it. It's literally, I think, low IQ people repeating themselves. And you can definitely tell people don't read books here because they're just repeating themselves all the time. I mean, it's like that guy King and Chillism. I think we're like dealing with people that are living in like assisted living facilities or something, like Down syndrome facilities throughout the country. There's gotta be like, you know, think about how many people work in special education, like work with Down syndrome people and autistic children. I think that's who is like using this app, because clearly none of them work. I mean, I don't work, but like none of these people work. So like, are they living in Down syndrome facilities? Like, who are these people?
That Francis was pretty progressive. There are a few others that I do know of, so I'm not exactly sure, but I still
What do
think
these people really do? I just wish there was like more profile index data on every person, who they are, where they live, what their net assets, like what their
I think that this is the way
total
the
net
Catholic
worth
Church
is.
is giving a middle finger
What kind of car they drive.
what is happening in American
That's the cool
politics.
thing about
And this is
data
their way
is, you know, if, like you were to really examine someone's personal tax returns.
we're going to pick a person
That's like the most intimate thing. And the crazy thing about a tax return is it's all subjective,
So a couple of things
and people just run a risk when they file. I mean, you know, especially if you're doing that Section C. I mean, it's like, you never see it in the news, but there's a lot of people that lie on the tax returns and take huge deductions and like pay no taxes.
stance on
And supposedly they're raising the tax rate
also
so
on climate control, also on
and it all just goes to a fucking warehouse
condemned
in an
violence in
underground fucking
Charlottesville.
cave.
He had
Just like all the federal employee jackets that sit in that fucking
very clear on supporting
anyway.
racial justice, particularly after the murder of George Floyd. I mean, he is, and
I wish
he's
I had
also
my
spoken
belt.
out against J.D. Vance
I
and
don't know.
the mass deportation policies, and then Vance's attempts to use Catholic doctrine to justify them. So I think that this is not a good thing for MAGA. I think this.
Well,
You can imagine that it's not there.
How far away is it?
This coexistence of without normal and
Actually,
impulses.
Mills, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mills. They're even smaller than a millimeter.
yeah, it's 100th of a millimeter.
Nick, if you didn't come in here, I probably would have been reading a book already.
Engineering and metalwork, yeah.
Like the Cindy Stumble thing is just too tempting.
Your chunks. Oh, fantastic. That'll solve everything.
But I would only do it for you because you're the only person that says, hey, actually, do the Cindy Stumble impersonation. You're the only one. So it's like, clearly my comedy's not taking off, right? If you're the only person asking to hear Cindy Stumble, like, I don't have an audience. Like, Tim Dillon's got an audience. I got no audience.
I thought Cindy Cobb. Maybe
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you might be.
We're in Berkeley territory. You ever seen a Muslim fashion show? Me neither, but I imagine it looks like a whole bunch of black bed sheets walking around stage.
Like
Yeah, there's like
trillion or purple or
there must be other colors.
yeah, just a splash of
Like
color.
Versace hijab.
Exactly. Like I have somebody going. I said Tom Ford was doing a burqa line for fall 25. And somebody was like, really? Yeah. Matching shoes too. You just can't see them.
What's up, everyone?
Did you see what is it, the Met Gala with the Hindu guys dressed like, you know,
That was very disappointing.
Indian Rajas or whatever?
It's just, I feel like mainstream
Muslim.
What was disappointing, me or him?
And
Oh, I thought I took care of him, but it's just like it's just. And he's
no,
an American.
you should have heard this guy. He goes by the doctor, the bad doctor, not the doctor responsible. He's the doctor irresponsible.
Yeah, he was holding court with Edward.
Edward is reasonable, and I think I like Edward, but he holds company with some unsavory characters.
You're right to be wrong.
He's become
a little radical.
That's the nature of the beast, I believe.
Edward is sometimes reasonable, but unfortunately, there is really no reasonable in this matter. If he wants to take it, frankly, he's a blind guy from Connecticut.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, it means everything to me.
He still wants it.
What means everything to me is him and the doctor are both Americans, and they have these ideals. To me, that's the most upsetting, that they're American.
Well, their attachment to American ideals is a little bit tenuous. And they're also in denial about
Well, no, they'll embrace American ideals to criticize Jews or Israel, but then, of course, they don't believe in American ideals when it comes to their own doctrines and beliefs. And that's the dichotomy. They're living in two different worlds simultaneously, I think.
Isn't that the playbook?
Can I just remind you that this is Clown House, and you'll meet all kinds of people who just, project all the time, and you shouldn't take it literally. It's just, maybe it's like a blind guy or somebody in a Down syndrome facility. You don't even know their back end,
No, but I think we should take it literally. I think that is the reality, unfortunately.
It's not. No way.
Maybe you're just a clown.
No, I am a clown. I'm a comedian. I'm just saying that, this is... First of all, you have to understand that all these rooms are just entertainment rooms, and that when you listen to Edward, he's actually an entertainer. And every cynic, all of them, every single one of them, they're just entertainers, and they're just doing real politique. That's what it is.
Maybe you're just projecting. You're the entertainer.
No, but my projection's accurate. If you can debate my accurate projection, debate my accurate projection.
Wait, what amount of income did you write from comedy this past year?
Ribbono Shel Olam, I got the Torah. You think I'm worried about my adjusted gross income?
Well, to be a comedian, you have to be paid.
He's got the 8 soap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jacob's Ladder does have its profits, and the Ein Sof is, beautiful philosophy, and I pray that Ribbono Shel Olam sends me a great adjustment to my adjusted gross income. I've already visualized it.
Okay, Yaakov, when you're just getting started, you don't tend to make money in most art forms.
Okay, how many comedy clubs have you played for free?
I've definitely created millions of views from Clown House over the past 4 years. Not billions, millions, not billions, millions of views.
Okay, what was the total amount that you've got from YouTube checks for impressions and impressions?
I've lost multiple accounts. I've gotten multiple copyright infringements, multiple privacy rights violations. I have had dozens of Clown House people complain against me. Ribbono Shel Olam, I've created a network of haters. I mean, I have a network of lovers, but I got a network of haters. That's okay. You can't create a network without some haters.
I think Mass Hypnosis will get his break. I think he's very talented.
That is one of his important phrases, Mass Hypnosis.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time until he gets his break. I think he'll get his break too.
Does anyone know anyone at Saturday Night Live? I heard him say that was his dream before. I think that's where he belongs.
I think he needs to focus on Second City. It's right in his town.
No, my father auditioned for Second City with Sweet Chuck from Police Academy. Sweet Chuck from Police Academy made it big. My dad became a real cop, and he was in the canning business. Puerto Ricans, Africans, Mexicans.
think there's a lot of people looking for naked men in their 30s playing the bongos on their belly. But there's other stuff too. And there's other entertaining things too. Very entertaining. Yes, yeah.
I call it self-actualization comedy.
Oh, wait, you're at the top of the hierarchy, yeah? Oh, right. Self-actualization. Yeah, right on the hierarchy top.
It's I'm an Einsoft self-deprecating comedian. I mean, Einsoft loves self-deprecation. It's a roast, and that's what I've realized what Clown House is. It is a roast show, and I have been filming it for many years. I would hope that Clown House is actually my biggest legacy because I feel like this is like recording a television cast, and it's, you know, I'm the only one doing it, and I think it's an interesting cast of characters.
You're right. Creates great holdings. If you read some stories of some like Sonics and Krabbies, I heard this one where this Krabby comes to a town and he wants to go to this guy's house, and he goes to his closet, opens the closet, and in that closet he said something was very holy. It was a costume that this Yid was made to wear in embarrassment, you know, in the town, you know, to embarrass him as a Yid. And in his embarrassment created much holiness. So you have a good point there.
Who are you talking to? I only see one conversation. Dove, I got a question. I do apologize for not being content for you for a little while now. But have any of those things actually gotten any interest? Any of the maybe season 2 and 3 of Clubhouse or no? It's new stuff. Are you there? Where's the con blocking your hearing?
I think you might take up the most space on the internet.
Well, comedy is the secret, and just look at what's his face from Comedy Central News. What's that guy's name? Anyways, comedy allows you to be subversive in a way that there's like no other art form like comedy. But subversive in a good way, not a bad way.
But you should definitely be doing the improv. I think you'd be very good at improv. Do you engage in it at all?
I've done it, yeah. I did comedy classes at Second City here in Chicago.
What have you not done?
I've never skydived. I've only bungee jumped. No, I didn't want to. I dropped out of the Air Force because I didn't think it was tough.
I in the Army. I was just kind of joking with the fighter.
I changed from Air Force to Army, and then, but I'll tell you the truth, the Air Force was the way to go. The Army is not the way to go.
People do that? You can switch services?
In college, you can switch ROTC, yeah. Plus, I flew a plane, and I was like, man, it's fucking bumpy, and this isn't very comfortable, you know? It was one of those Cessna planes. I was like, man, I don't think I want to be a pilot.
So I really want to be a pilot. Ceiling. Don't want to be in the Navy. Don't want to be in a tank.
I love that. You wanted to be a pilot, but it was a bit too bumpy.
I'm serious. I flew a Cessna, and it was not a pleasurable experience. It was very uncomfortable.
It gets better the faster you fly.
Did you hear what happened in New Jersey last week?
No. Oh, yeah.
Traffic control was down.
They lost radio contact for 36 seconds or something like that.
And they said like a bunch of people are out because of the trauma, like working there.
What do you mean a bunch of people are out? They quit?
Like they were like on leave from the trauma, like being there when that happened.
Some pilots are freaking out too. The Secretary of Transportation has just announced an overhaul of the air traffic control system today.
How how does France justify bringing that Syrian jihadist, Turkish-backed militant into Paris? I mean, I saw videos of what they're doing to people, and it's so sickening because you realize it is an Islamic caliphate, and they're insane, and it's it's a war crime what they're doing to people. It's insane.
Wait, what is France doing?
the Syrian militants, what they're doing to Christians.
No, I know that, but what did France do?
They brought in the guy, in a suit, and
He went to Paris?
yeah, justified him or gave him, backing essentially.
But he didn't leave the country. He left the country to lose his position.
No, he went to Paris to have a meeting with Macron.
That's surprising.
I don't know. I mean, it's how does that guy have freedom of movement?
Look at Paris, though. They're in Turkey, actually. That's why. With that electorate, that group, they're in so deep, they're fucked. Look, as long as Turkey backs him, do whatever he wants to. It's becoming Turkey South. It's taking over the air bases. But they're in secret talks with Israel being what do you call it? The UAE is coordinating security matters, in quotes. That's all they would say.
I don't know. I think coexistence to me is just another hypnosis word. You can go to the Baha'i Temple here in Chicago, and it's magnificent, beautiful, and just stunning. And their whole thing is coexistence. So, I mean, I think if you want to have coexistence, it has to be like a science of religions, meaning you can't be all or nothing anything, and you should know a little bit of something about everything, or at least culture or psychology and people. And know that, I've been to Jordan twice, and I've, been in weird, very strange areas with what I would call.
Petra is not a strange area.
No, I'm talking like people's estates with like Egyptians and I don't even know. Anyways, I saw Palestinians, like towns, cities in the distance where the Jordanian guys, they see that fucking city over there? That was a Palestinian encampment. Now it's a fucking village / like looking city almost, or town. So I mean, when you're there, the Jordanians have a very different perspective. Like there's in-group and out-group, so it's super tribal, and then there's like a super tribe, and the expression is me and my cousin, or me and my brothers versus my cousins, me and my cousins versus the world. So, I don't know. It's like, to me, the whole thing is like machismo, essentially. People got these fucking big ideas, big ambitions, but, their town doesn't even have a fucking library.
El Normo, you there? Yeah. Did I miss anything exciting in the room earlier? I just came in like 10 minutes ago. No. It gets interesting, then it gets quiet, then it gets interesting. Have you listened at all to Jonathan Pollard? Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking in Israel he would be an interesting character to meet or hear speak if he even does that. I think he's trying to be the podcast. That's how I was thinking, but he's wicked smart. A bit controversial, but I still think so intelligent. Very interesting.
What do you think? What do you think about
He has the
Vindman?
ear of a lot of leaders. He's got the ear of a lot of higher ups in Israel.
What do you think about Lieutenant Colonel Vindman?
What you said, Vindman?
Vindman, yeah, he's the one who said that Trump didn't have a perfect phone call or something with Ukraine, and he was on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh yeah,
He's
what
got
a
a big
bitch.
social media following, you know. I mean,
Oh, he's such a bitch.
He's a
Did
bitch.
You guys see him? Total bitch.
But
I knew it the second I talked to him. I saw him with those stupid glasses, his fat belly. I didn't think it was nice. It wasn't a perfect phone call. Shut up, you little bitch.
I mean, what a bitch. I mean,
That was a very weird episode.
hundreds of thousands, million, you know,
Trump for?
so strange.
It was such a thin case. And Vindman is a weird character. So was that other spy that got fired? Well, she had an Irish accent or something. Remember that? There was a woman too. Yeah. And everyone was really a big brother as well. He has like a twin brother. Yeah, and they're both little deep state nerds. I mean, that's the only way I could describe them. They were mad because Trumpy Bear wasn't being nice in the Foreign Service, and the diplomats didn't like the way he talked to other leaders. Shut up. That's what this whole thing, that's what the whole thing that this second term is really about. Like, the reason Trump is being so aggressive right now and crazy, part of it is just that he's pissed off and he's crazy. But the other part of it is like the entire government set out to work against him during the first term and not implement his policies, foreign policy, and domestic. So now he's just like, okay, I'm just going to fucking fire everybody. Okay, we're just going to do it this way. Not let them get in the way. Right? And it's their own fault for angering. Like, I'm not saying just because it's Trump, but honestly, you work for the president. If you want to go up against that, Democrat, Republican, whatever the president is, that's fine. But you're going to have consequences, and that's what we're seeing right now, in my humble opinion.
You know what would be a very funny interview is somebody from the U.S. military that had a lot of experience with trans soldiers and the policies and the rules and the protocols and the whole experience of like trans soldiers in armed forces. It has got to be the like most bizarre, cringe, can't believe what you're fucking witnessing. Also, that you can't even believe that person is doing what they're doing, because that to me is the wildest thing. Is, you know, somebody who is just constantly projecting trans in the military, and they get this like policy and procedure to actually do it. It's like the biggest role play simulation ever of total insanity in all military of all times, because it's like right out there in the open. You know, under Biden, it was like, I mean, there's got to be so much documentation on it, and I'm sure a lot of soldiers have a lot of videos of like, you know, maybe what you might call disabled people doing army play, but just sad and weird. I mean, just weird to think that you would have like a squad of trans people, you know, in a platoon or something, but and across all branches of the military. So it's got to be one of the funniest things, and I'm sure there's a lot of crazy videos that will come out.
Trump's best reverse that. Like to put trans sex changes back, or to reverse all the problems. Trump reversed the order to permit trans people to serve in the military. It seems so inappropriate, doesn't it? I mean, what could be more inappropriate than that?
But see, I'm sure a lot of the people who were trans, they will no longer present as trans, and they will still be in the military, but they will return to proper dress code and, you know, personal appearance. I mean, so they're no longer trans. But that's why I'm saying the documentation has to be crazy, because it's, you know, they literally drafted document. All this stuff is like military order procedure documentation manuals. So there's literally like trans manuals, LGBTQ manuals. I mean, you know, that's because of the administration. But what happens if we get an administration like that again? I don't know. Will America ever get an administration like that again? To me, it seems highly likely, right? Seems very likely.
Yeah, it's likely to happen. I mean, they were teaching CRT in the military. They were teaching people that white people were evil in the military.
Well, listen to this. When I'm in the infantry, I'm in Fort Benning, Georgia, and you can go to every religious service option. There's like 10 religious options on every Sunday. I went to every one of them, and I experienced every single religious denomination under the sun on a major military base. And they bring in people who conduct religious services for whatever specific religion that is for those soldiers. So I went to an Islamic religious service, and there is like an imam on a U.S. Army military base saying that if you don't believe in Muhammad and the truth of Islam, your head will be crushed on a rock for infinity or eternity, and that's your punishment. And this is on a U.S. Army installation.
You heard those words out of his mouth.
Out of his fucking mouth. And I just couldn't even believe what I was listening to. And I'm like, this is so crazy. But I understood, because of freedom of religion, you're going to, and the fact that they basically, I would say, contract with almost basically, or these people are doing it for free. I don't know how he was being compensated, but they all got access to U.S. facilities to conduct all these religious ceremonies and religious activities.
Army chaplains get paid.
No, but this guy was not in the army. He was an imam who had special permission to conduct Islamic classes and ceremonies and religious, Sunday service.
The problem with religious freedom and democracies is that they're a little too open to ideas that threaten and challenge those democracies.
I didn't even bring it up. I mean, to me, it was just another experience, and you were moving so quickly. There was no time to. You can't report anything as a private. I mean, it's just an experience. But I mean, you meet all kinds of strange people in the military. Honestly, I met white supremacists. I met people that were in New York during 9/11. I met older people who were polarized by 9/11 that wanted to go to war. I mean, you meet all kinds of interesting people.
I was 2 blocks away in Battery Park. I watched the towers fall with my own eyes.
I mean, to me, when I see those videos, to me, it looks like a controlled demolition. And, that's my opinion. I don't know who did it. Could have been internal. Could have been a combination of internal and external. But to me, I think Larry Silverstein made out like a bandit. And I mean, maybe that's crazy talk. But I don't know why I have any reason to believe Larry Silverstein or have any good faith in him.
Well, they said that wasn't the Pentagon being investigated for a lot of misappropriated funds.
Well, yeah, the Pentagon video is, to me, the big giveaway that was most likely a rocket and not a plane.
Well, and apparently the records that were being kept in the World Trade were associated with government funds.
Yeah, WTC-7, which is the third tower that fell on 9/11, housed Salomon Brothers, CIA, New York Emergency Response, and a whole slew of other government agencies. So it was like a federal building. And that one definitely fell from thermite detonation and controlled demolition. That's a fact. That thing didn't even get hit by a plane. It fell free fall. I mean, that's controlled demolition. So it's like that information's got to come out. I mean, because to me, that's the most obvious crazy. It's not even a conspiracy theory. It's like, that's unexplainable. Like, that has to be.
Have you seen the video of the storage rooms that had all those? I don't know if it was some detonation material, some type of bomb type material. Apparently, trucks were coming in and out of the World Trade for like months at a time leading up to it. I've
seen a lot of good documentaries on all this stuff. the Corbett report was probably, like, to me, the biggest whistleblower source of information, with like Kroll Associates and the Bush family connection, meaning that there is, coordination or cooperation between, central intelligence agencies of the world. I mean, just like central banks. I mean, there is an equilibrium on the planet.
But it could have been, if it was something like this, it could have been a deep state not orchestrated by the state itself.
I don't know. I think 9/11 was a cooperation between global intelligence agencies.
Well, the scary thing in the world of intelligence is none of us really know what's going on. What's Palestine? What? What's Palestine?
The 9/11 Jesus' birthday thing's a little weird.
Who cares?
And a lot of people made a lot of money off of trades, like before.
Yeah, there's, hedge fund that tracks all the congressional transactions, but that's still delayed data because everybody has to make these financial disclosures.
I don't think that's a real thing, sir.
Have I ever been to the Holy what? Schnitzel. That is so bizarre that I was just looking at it on Uber Eats as you Are you serious? Yes. Yes. I was just about to order from Holy Schnitzel. Yes, I've eaten it. Can I tell you something? What the heck is going on? The schnitzel in Israel is so much better than the schnitzel here. You think? So much better.
Everything in Israel is better.
Yeah.
And less steroids and chickens.
Even the water, the air, everything. Everything is better. I found this little, like, kosher hole in the wall next to the American Embassy. And, like, the taxi drivers are eating there and stuff. I love to go to holes in the wall. And you just if you're gonna get something from Holy Schnitzel, get the butter special. Oh, I saw that. I know. Yeah, trust me, it'll fill your stomach. Yeah, you won't even be able to finish it. It's worth it. You and your son could probably split the sandwich and you have the fries and you'll be good at it. Like, it's very good. We do that. I send him kosher. Yeah, butter. Yeah, so then get the butter special. It's perfect for that. And he goes, Dad, I said the bracha. Like, I didn't even ask. That's good. I know. It's all about leading by example.
Absolutely.
Nagging is useless. But leading by example, baby.
That's
true. That's true. It's true. I definitely think it could make a good impact on a child. Like, when he's young, seeing his father rapping to fill in with his college. Oh, yeah. I think it makes a big impact on a child. He's into it.
What about this 9/11 stuff? Just because Tower 7 almost definitely is access. Does that mean that necessarily?
I couldn't hear you. You're in the Matrix, Dr. Wesley.
What I said was, just because Tower 7, which I believe you guys, and the Pentagon look like controlled explosions.
Also, Shanksville. Shanksville was a rocket too. I do not believe the plane went into Shanksville. And so when Trump puts that big stand over in Shanksville and does a ceremony in Shanksville, I just think he's like continuing the propaganda.
Why do you think that? You think the stories
Because the pictures, like, I'm just I want to try to eliminate a hindsight bias and say, when I see a picture of Shanksville, that to me looks like a rocket implosion and not a plane implosion.
Wait, you saw a picture of the explosion?
Shanksville, yeah, everybody's the videos. Yeah, you can just go on Google, YouTube, and look up Shanksville and be like, "Is that a plane?" Nah.
Maybe I should look at that before I weigh in.
Yeah, it's just not a plane. I mean, you've seen then Google plane crashes, and you will see tons of fucking plane debris. And Shanksville's got no fucking plane debris. So explain that one.
So you think that all the people that were victims are just like in the witness protection program?
No, I'm saying they were probably fake identities, and it was an empty plane.
Oh my god.
But what about the people? But there were victims in 9/11.
100%, thousands.
But you think just the plane people are fake? All the people on the planes were fake?
No, listen. This is like the plane stuff is, I don't really have much to say about
Would it
it.
make more sense if they got hit by a missile, though, and they were real, or not?
I don't know. Did you ever see on Dateline interviews with like 100 people, impacted by 9/11, like their wife, their husband, their kids? Like, you ever see any fucking videos about the people that died on those planes and like, complex interviews with people who knew them? I never seen those videos. You ever seen those videos?
I saw Flight 93. That was pretty good.
Yeah, you saw a Hollywood adaptation of most likely an entirely scripted event.
Well, why do you go right to that? Like, wouldn't what I said earlier be like more likely that they were shut down by a missile, just like the Pentagon, and it was real people?
I don't know. I'm just saying that whatever the official story is, that is not the real story. We have been lied to with regards to 9/11.
I guess we're on that. Harry there, Mr. Harold. Harold. Which deep state operative just said, "Let's move on"?
Michael Aquino.
Okay, writing that down in my book. I'm a deep sea agent. Just see about her.
It's Doctor.
Like, what was it, Ilhan Omar, when she's like, some people did something that day.
She's a showmother.
If there's one person I'd like to see arrested and deported, it would be Ilhan Omar for marrying her brother and falsifying her immigration papers.
Send her to China.
No, we should send her to Gitmo.
Send her to New Delhi.
Yeah, after we capture Ilhan Omar, we should round up about 150,000 Somalis out of Minnesota and also deport them back to Somalia. That's just my opinion.
Or we can colonize them and make them speak Yiddish. What do you think?
I mean, I'm just actually kind of kidding about the Somalis, but not really.
We can force convert them into Hasidism. What do you think?
I don't know. We got a new Chicago Pollock as the Pope, That's exciting news for people. The guy's so Polish, he doesn't even know he's the Pope. You know how Nazi Germany conquered Poland so quickly? They marched in backwards, and the Polacks thought they were leaving. Anyways, what are you doing tonight, Dr. Responsible? Are you going to be out in your garden listening to crickets while your wife continues to raise your children with an absentee husband?
Holy shit. How did you know? I'm about to go plant some plants for Mother's Day in the dark for my wife. And I want to know how you do that.
I have access to a Starlink terminal, and whoever I talk with here on Clown House, I can take a Starlink camera and just zoom down with like 100,000, magnifying glass telescope, and just see exactly whoever I'm talking to. It's like a remote viewing project that Elon Musk has been working on.
How can you see this?
These nuts.
This is a chocolate star waving to you.
You know, I was looking at the moon through a telescope the other night, and I couldn't fucking focus it. No matter how hard I tried, I could not get this telescope to focus on the moon. So I pulled out a pair of binoculars, looked at the moon. I bought 3 telescopes, and they're all very difficult to use.
That's good. The moon's fake. It's a projector up on Trump Tower. I'm just saying.
What?
Do you know how many moons Mars has?
I know they found a new one, right?
Do we like the firmament?
Did we back to firmament? So funny.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the moon landing? Like the fact that you can drive a car up there, drive it around, play golf, fly back to the Pacific, and then go to Hollywood and like talk to Nixon, Is it propaganda?
I'm not buying it. Really not. And they can't do it again. And also that black lady took them there. She was just such an autist with numbers.
The human computer African American?
Yeah, it doesn't add up. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't they continue this behavior? Because of been that hard.
So I used to live in what's called Century City in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I heard of it.
And there's this hotel there that has this amazing lobby in the basement. It's an older hotel, but it's a huge hotel. And they had all these black and white photos, like old historic photos. So there's a photo of Nixon with ABC, CBS, NBC, and this giant box with a glass window, and these astronauts who just came back from the moon. And it looks like the Nixon Johnny Carson show. And it was at that moment that I realized the connection between, major